I'm back. Big Ed Car Reviews is back today with an almighty bang. And that is because I'm going to be reviewing the brand new Volkswagen Polo GTI. This car has kindly been given to me by Marriott Motor Group. If you don't know about Marriott, they are a family-run business who work across East Anglia, representing a number of different brands. Audi, Volkswagen, Volkswagen Commercial, Skoda, Dacia, Renault, you name it, they've got it. And they're particularly close to my heart because I've probably bought now, between myself, family, friends, 15 to 20 cars off Marriott over the last sort of 5 or 6 years. So if that doesn't say much about the brand, I don't know what will. I'll leave all the details to their website in the description of this video. So without further ado, I want to get this video started promptly because I think my videos are lasting too long. 15 to 20 minutes is not really where I want to be. I want to be sort of between 10 and 15. So hopefully I can manage that with this video. And trust me, this one's a good one. See you in a sec. So let's kick off the performance side of the review with a 0 to 60 run. Now this car has launch control, so what we have to do to engage that is put the gearbox in sport mode. We have to turn the traction control off. The car's already in sport mode. You put your left foot on the brake, you floor the throttle, builds the revs to 3,000, take your foot off the brake, and away we go. Whoa, lots of wheel spin, and wow, now we're pulling, wow, that's 60, wow, crikey. That's very impressive. Right, let's just turn all this back off before we crash. So back into normal mode, turn the traction control back on, please go back on. There we go. Right, we can calm down now. So let's put some context to that performance. This car has 197 brake horsepower, or 200 PS, which is what everyone uses now. The reason they use 200 PS is because it sounds more. It's basically just the metric version for brake horsepower. That's all it is. Top speed of this car, 146 miles an hour, not doubting that. 0 to 60, apparently 6.7 seconds. And I reckon I did 6.7 seconds with all that wheel spin. So this car, Volkswagen, have certainly not done any justice with the performance figures, because this car certainly feels quicker than 6.7 seconds. I would say it definitely feels quicker than a Mini Cooper S. It probably feels equally as quick as the S1. It just wouldn't get off the line quite so quick because obviously it hasn't got that four-wheel drive. So, doesn't feel bad at all. So, next thing I want to talk about is, let's get into sport mode. What do you think of this sound? I'm not convinced. It sounds nice, it sounds quite fruity. There's no pops or anything on the overrun or on the gear change. So I would certainly say it sounds nice, but it could sound so much nicer. It certainly sounds better than the Audi S1, but it doesn't sound as good as the Mini Cooper S, not at all. So that's sort of the performance side of things done. I now want to talk about how it goes around those roundabouts. See you in a sec. So finally with performance, we've got to talk about this car and how it handles. Now this car doesn't have a limited slip differential like the Ford Fiesta ST does, but from what I've been driving so far, it goes around corners beautifully. So what I'm going to do, sorry Volkswagen in advance, pop it into second, put the indicator on, I'm going to go around a roundabout with plenty of lock, plenty of tyre squeal, lots of tyre squeal. Sorry Volkswagen. Promise, that's the first time I've done that. This car, in terms of handling, is fantastic. There's a massive smile on your face. It weighs quite a lot, nearly 1,300 kilograms, but the way it goes around bends, it makes you feel like you're a much better driver than you actually are. And that's what these cars are supposed to do. So in terms of performance, I can't give it anything but a 9 out of 10. So running costs then. Now a lot of people say with running costs, when you're buying a hot super mini, are they actually important? Yes, they absolutely are. Petrol's really expensive, and we need to make sure that these cars do absolutely everything. And this car, according to Volkswagen, does a fantastic job, because it will average 47.9 miles per gallon as an average. And Volkswagen certainly wouldn't fudge their figures. The problem is, those figures are lies. Yes, if you went 65 down a motorway, put it in eco mode, you might be able to get an average of 47.9 miles per gallon. But you won't be able to get that in the real world. You're probably going to average between sort of, I reckon, 35 miles per gallon if you're doing a bit of town driving and motorway, or if you're doing more motorway journeys, you're probably going to get around nearer early 40s, which is really good, and that's, you know, really competitive in the class that this car sits in. So in terms of running costs, I'll keep this short and sweet. I can't really give this car any less than 7.5 out of 10. Pretty good Volkswagen. Okay, so let's talk about how much this car actually costs to buy. Now the normal GTI is around 21,000 cash price, and the GTI Plus, which is actually what this car is around £23,000. Now the difference between the GTI and the Plus is you get a few extras on the Plus. You get a nice digital display, which you'll see in the interior shots. You get LED headlamps, you get folding mirrors, you get tinted windows, you get a few extra bits and pieces as standard. But I don't talk about the cash price, I want to talk about the finance packages. So various segments of Volkswagen are currently running £1,000 off both models. Now, if you've got a bit of cash laying around, or you've got a car to trade in, and you had £6,500 to put down as a deposit, you can actually get into a brand new GTI for around £150 a month, which seems like a tiny monthly payment for the amount of car that you're getting. Or, back to my normal way of doing quotes, 48-month agreement, 10,000 miles per year, no cash deposit going in from yourself. You can get into one of these normal GTIs for around just over £300 a month. And then if you want to get into the Plus model with the added bits and pieces, you're looking at around £340, £350 a month. So it is expensive, absolutely, but you are getting more like it's basically a Golf GTI, this car. So you're getting quite a bit of bang for your buck. So in terms of price, because it is a little bit expensive, but I know the residual values will be quite strong on these, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's pretty good Volkswagen. Okay, so quickly then, while I'm talking about price, I thought I'd just show you the link that I'm going to put in the description where it will actually take you. So it'll actually take you to this GTI page on the Marriott website. So scroll halfway down, get to the Polo GTI, click on View Offer, and then what that will show you, there'll be more information about inquiring about the car, give you more details of other deals, the APRs you're going to be paying, more information on spec, service plans, all that sort of stuff. And then down the bottom, you've got a list of phone numbers for all the Volkswagen units that Marriott have in East Anglia. Be sure to give any of them a call, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you with all your needs. Okay, so this car's interior. Before we start, we're just reminded again, we're in a GTI, like we didn't know. Oh, and we've been in it 2 seconds, and we're reminded again that we're in a GTI. Volkswagen do love that. But when you do drive Volkswagen GTI, you have to make sure you tell everyone every 12 seconds. So it's a handy little prompt. Anyway, must whiz through this. So, digital display. This is what you get on the GTI Plus model. You don't get this as standard on the normal GTI, but that is lovely. If you could afford it, definitely worthwhile speccing. In here, it's just wonderful. You've got the big 8-inch screen, more on that in a second. This sort of grey panel. Now, a lot of these cars have this in red, which looks rubbish. I would not go for the red at all. And I think that grey is actually non-cost option, so definitely worth speccing the grey. The red makes it look really, really cheap. And while we're talking about cheapness, what's that, Volkswagen? That's nasty. Wasn't expecting that. I can't really fault it in here, but that is genuinely annoying in a car of this price. Seats. Now, this will be controversial because GTI owners and lovers, they will want the tartan material, which is actually free, which is great. But if you want these seats and you hate the tartan, like myself, you got to spend £1,000, just over £1,000 for these seats. They are wonderful, but I think I'll just put up with the tartan. But each to their own. Now, I'm going to talk you through the Apple CarPlay, but I don't think I can do this while holding my phone. So you'll see my mad editing skills any second now. Mad editing skills over. And as you can see, oh, for goodness sake, my fans just won't leave me alone. As you can see, Big Ed Car Reviews has really taken off. Anyway, Apple CarPlay is standard in this car, which is just brilliant. I think it's one of these options now that everyone seems to be speccing. You've got your sort of air conditioning down here as well. You've also then got many different options like your cruise control, obviously your Bluetooth connectivity, you've got your parking sensors, you've got radar cruise control, you've got all these different things that you do get as standard on these cars. So in terms of equipment, I think it's equipped quite lavishly, and I think in terms of the interior quality, it is really, really strong. But that plastic bits, these little side bits of plastic, they do generally let the car down a little bit. So it's not faultless in here. I think I would have given it a strong 9, maybe even a 9.5 if those plastics weren't there. So I think a fair result in terms of the interior is 8.5. Still pretty good, Volkswagen. And I've got a treat for you because I've got a new Polo Arline to compare exterior wise to the GTI. So what you will may or may not know about the Arline, it's basically the same as Audi S-Line, BMW M Sport, but basically the car gets much more aggressive, sportier looking, but doesn't actually change anything under the engine, so you still get overtaken by tractors. So looks really, really sporty. Let me know what you think in the comments compared to the GTI. What you will notice though, Polo badge there. Move on to the GTI. We only have a GTI badge. This hasn't been debadged in any way, but it doesn't say Polo. So to the untrained eye, it looks like you're driving a Golf GTI. Good work there, Volkswagen. Very smart. So the discreet changes you get, because this is a car which is basically a wolf in sheep's clothing, which is very appealing to lots of people. So twin exhaust down there, which is different. You've got the 17-inch alloy wheels. You can spec a different alloy, but they look pretty similar. Red brake calipers. Just these discreet changes I really like. GTI logo there. Black side skirt there. And then my favourite bit is sort of the frippery you get here with the GTI line going across and the GTI badge in there. You won't be able to tell on the camera, but it actually sits 15mm lower, which will just help it around the bends. But if you're thinking, I want a sporty looking car for the fraction of the price, then the Arline is a great way to go. But in terms of exterior, I'm grading the GTI, so I think with the white, the black tints, I think you'll all agree that it does look like a wolf in sheep's clothing, which is appealing to a lot of people. So I'm going to give this 8 out of 10. Good work, Volkswagen. So you join me in the back seat of the car, so it must be time for practicality. Now, before we start, you may notice this car is 5-door. Now, all the Polos are 5-door. They don't make a Polo currently that's 3-door, so you get that added practicality as standard, which is really, really good. Let's talk about headroom then. My hair is touching the ceiling. It's not too bad. It's certainly better than the Mini and the Audi S1, but it's not as good as the Suzuki Swift Sport. Legroom wise, I think the best way to describe it is that I'm in the car. Personally, the passenger seat would have that much room. And this is a bit irrelevant, but this is behind my driving position. Remember, I'm 6'5", not a normal size human being. But in terms of if you're sort of 6 foot and under, you can get 4 adults in this car, no problem whatsoever. And also probably 3 children in here and 2 adults in the front, which is really, really good. So in terms of where it sits, it's not as practical inside as the Suzuki Swift Sport, but it trumps the Audi and also the Mini. But this hasn't played the trump card yet. Wait till you see the boot of this car. So now it's time for bigger car reviews. Cabin size luggage test. Let's have a look. Oh, I do like this button. That is very nice. Wow. There's a suitcase. The camera is not doing this justice at all, but this space is just huge. To be precise, it's 355 litres. That is more than the old Audi A1, more than the Mini Cooper S, more than the Suzuki Swift Sport. It's even more than the new Audi A1 as well, which is just a massive, massive car. And I'm starting to think to myself, when you look at it from a practicality point of view, which is why a lot of people do buy a Golf, you've got 5 doors as standard, you've got the massive boot, you've got headroom in the back even for someone of my size. I'm starting to think to myself, why would you buy a Golf? What's the point? The Polo is the new Golf's biggest rival, I would say. So in terms of practicality, I think I'm going to give this, I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Superb work, Volkswagen. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video, but before we end, we must go through the scores. And before I go through the Polo scores, let's just remind you of the previous cars that I reviewed. So Audi S1, 34 out of 50. Mini Cooper S, 36 out of 50. Swift Sport, 40.5 out of 50. So let's see how the Polo got on. So price we graded 7.5, practicality 9.5, performance 9, exterior and interior, I've taken an average of the two, giving it an 8 out of 10, and running costs 7.5. So if you're good at maths, you'll realise that adds up to 41.5, and it's knocked the Swift Sport off the top spot. The car completely exceeded my expectations. I thought it was brilliant. I really don't see now why you would buy a Golf, because you're not compromising really anywhere, I don't think. It's a fantastic car, so well done Volkswagen there. So before I do end though, a massive thank you again to Marriott Motor Group for giving me the car. There's going to be more content coming with those guys. There's also going to be hopefully a John Cooper Works Mini on the way, and I'm also going to try and get hold of the Fiesta ST, just so I can sort of finish the Hot Super Mini series, reviewing all the best cars. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, get in the comments with anything you want to say, and give the video a thumbs up. And I'll see you next time. Thanks again.